Alright, and welcome back to possibly the last episode, well, at least the last episode for now, of the RWBY fanfiction reading of RoRaWoK, which, I'm not going to be explaining anymore, by Brightbriar. So, I didn't talk about some of these things last time, but after, when I was reading that, I was really confused as to what was going on, the last chapter, which, was called Never Gonna Give You Up, in case you didn't notice the whole, like, April Fools from the beginning. That probably should have given away, but apparently I didn't realize that when I read it first time, and I was still very confused at what was going on during all of that. It's like, what? And anyways, yeah, I don't know. So we're going to read Chapter 8, The Party's Over, and then I think that's technically it, because it just talks about some random other stuff. But I don't think there's anything else. There's no more of the story so far, so I don't know if this is the end, because I actually don't remember reading this. So, yeah. Anyways. Police are still investigating into the attack on the Schnee Ball that occurred on Friday evening last week. While it was clear from the outset that the White Fang were responsible, it has still been impossible to prosecute individual offenders. Authorities are searching for a cat faunus. Yang, turn it off, Ruby said quietly. This isn't helping. Yang sat up, rolling out her tight, stiff shoulders. She snatched up the remote and the screen flicked off. She said nothing. She was too tired, among many, many other things. She hadn't been sleeping well, and she'd been dreaming a lot, which was unusual for her. Last night there had been something about God. She didn't even know. Blake was there a lot. There might have been a bar, or a high school, or the afterlife. She wasn't really sure anymore. And Ruby had been dead? Maybe Ruby had been dead. And had Ruby been dead? Maybe Ruby had been dead. Either way, she didn't dwell on it. So yeah, last chapter was essentially a dream, but not really. Although it's kind of weird how they like this whole thing started out the same way as apparently her dream did. I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it. Ruby placed a mug of cocoa in front of her. The sound of ceramic thunking on glass snapped Yang out of her thoughts. Ruby spoke. People are blogging that Tumblr post like crazy, you know. The blonde blinked slowly. Which Tumblr post? The one I made a few days ago about the attack and the racial profiling. Or, it's becoming as big as anything not concerning America ever does on there. What? Yang made a quiet noise, picking up the mug. Have you talked to Weiss? How's her shoulder? He hasn't said anything back, though. Ruby nodded. I sent her a meme this morning. She didn't look at it. Yang nodded silently. The police had come around the other day, and Ruby and Yang had been entirely truthful. Yes, Blake was their friend. Okay, Yang hadn't been entirely truthful there, but it wasn't like that mattered to anyone. No, she had nothing to do with the White Fang. She disliked them immensely. No, they didn't know where she was. Yes, they were sure she'd done nothing wrong. Yang had hotly pointed out that perhaps the reason why she hadn't attended classes or work or shown herself was that she was scared out of her wits. Ruby hesitated, then spoke again. You guys didn't talk for like a year, right? And everything was fine. Ruby, that's different. Yeah, but I wouldn't worry too much if you can't help it. Blake can take care of herself. It's kind of her thing. Yang took a deep breath, anger creeping into her voice. I don't doubt that, I'm just... She broke off, her voice catching. I just wish you would talk about it. Yeah, Ruby blinked. I know. Yang glared at the couch. Yeah, something like that. Ruby was silent. They both turned around as two sets of footsteps thumped down the stairs. Crow, you've got to stop blaming yourself. I know, Ty. Crow reached the bottom of the stairs, turning to face Ruby and Yang's father. Logically, I know that. I know that something like this was always going to happen, and there's nothing I personally could have done to stop it, but that's not an easy thing to accept. Everyone looked at Yang. There were a couple of moments of silence, which Crow broke. Exactly. Besides, I'm better off harboring self-loathing than self-pity. Ty sighed, defeated, then glanced between the two girls. Are you girls okay with getting pizza tonight? They exchanged a glance, then nodded. Ruby looked at Crow. So is Blake a criminal, or Crow took a deep breath. Not technically. She's under suspicion. The longer she runs, the more suspicious people get. But then it wouldn't be very smart. Slumped. Yeah. She should be alright, though, right? Yang pressed, sitting up suddenly. She hides the fact that she's fondest everywhere she goes anyway, and no one saw her face properly, not for a long period of time. Crow inclined his head slightly. That may be true. Everything will be fine, Taiyang added, his posture firm and solid. It's like a scab. If everyone just leaves it alone, it will heal. And I'm sure Blake knows that, and I'm sure that's just what she's doing. She's not picking at it. Yang nodded, looking away. Yeah, right. Then, when she went back to her room, there was a new message from an unknown number. Paw print's gone. Delia's boss covered all tracks. I didn't ask where she learned how, using her boyfriend's phone. Girlfriend, I don't know. Something I really don't understand. I don't know, whatever. Blake was sick of sleeping in bus stations. Emerald had sorted out the last few details. She promised that by morning everyone would think that Weiss had made a mistake, that there had just been some uncanny resemblance between Blake and the cat faunus, who most likely hadn't been on the guest list sneaking in with the White Fang. Blake had turned off location services and data the second she'd realized what she'd got herself into. She'd be able to say that, traumatized by the attack, she immediately went to see her family in Mistral, should anyone ask. For the record, she had called them. Weiss had made a mistake, revealing to her father that Blake had been the one that stopped the chandelier, pulling the fancy parkour shit. Not that Blake blamed her. Everything would be okay now. She almost felt safe. Almost. RWBY was taking the junior taekwondo class again. All of the kids were great, blue belts, aged between 10 and 12. Most of them had been doing the sport for a solid few years. It was only her fourth-ish week taking them, so she didn't know them very well. Still, they were skilled in that way. That could be a rare thing among kids. But as she entered the room, any sense of pride she had about them flew out from her mind, seeing as they were huddled around her phone. I leave for 2 minutes to get some boards, and this is what I have to deal with. God help me. Hey, her voice was sharp. What are you guys doing? As if they'd been waiting for some cue, most of the kids stepped backwards away from the phone, leaving Zach, of course it was Zach, in the middle of the circle holding RWBY's 5C. Being honest, it was a bit of an impulse purchase, but it has the prettiest red you've ever seen, and her previous phone had been getting kind of old and slow, looking as innocent as he could manage. He was reading the text on your lock screen. A small freckled blonde kid. RWBY was pretty sure her name was Eloise, declared, pointing at Zach accusingly. I tried to stop him, but not after you read out that text, Slough muttered, her dark eyes unimpressed yet disinterested. RWBY narrowed her eyes. Zach, did you get my phone off the... You have to respect. Do you have a girlfriend? He blurted out. RWBY froze, her face flushing, head reeling. Her mind was suddenly swirling with how the heck does he know that, what did he read, and what any class I say yes, and that would cost me my job, and crap. There were a few moments of does. I bet they're cute together. But Mom said, guys, she said, coming off a bit more panicky than she meant to. She walked up to Zach, who was looking very guilty and very pleased with himself. Can I have my... Can I see my phone? Jack shrugged, handing Zach shrugged, handing it over. Ruby looked at the lock screen, hand shaking. Voice espresso. It's a good one. Ruby, I know you won't see this till later, but you said I should let you know if anything happened with Dad again. We had another fight. The gay daughter thing didn't come out. Don't you worry. This closet door is still pulled firmly shut. Good one. But it's not looking like I'll be coming to Valentine soon. Like it's even less likely than before, which we both know is saying a lot. He's just such a piece of shit. His entire ideology is so messed up. I missed you. Or I miss you. Ruby swallowed. She wanted to reply to Weiss there and then, and so one of students waiting for her to speak. Uh, Doing the quick cost benefit analysis, she figured now was probably a good time to do a little patriarchy smashing and break down whatever heteronormativity might have been instilled in these kids. Her boss, Javier, would probably fist bump her for doing so. Probably. Besides, they weren't stupid. There wasn't any use trying to cover up the blue hearts combined with the gay daughter thing combined with the I miss you. She took a deep breath. Yeah, I do have a girlfriend. There was a brief pause, then conversation erupted again. Ruby listened in, letting them indulge for a bit. They were kids, after all. If she didn't let them talk about it for a minute, they would certainly try to do so at a more inconvenient time, catching snippets of the conversation. Do you think they kiss? You. Hey, Zach, even Ruby can get a girlfriend and you can't. Shut up. But I thought only a boy and a girl. No, stupid. Doesn't. Closet though. Maybe she's Harry Potter. I want to be Harry Potter's girlfriend. Luke, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Ruby smiled, heaving a sigh of relief. She had nothing to worry about, right now anyway. And she stretched, locking her phone, putting it back in her backpack, and putting the backpack on a higher shelf. She got the stack of boards back off the table. Guys, eyes up here, we're not done yet. The volume in the room stayed exactly where it had been. Ruby grinned. The class finished up a half hour later. Parents come to collect their kids. Ruby had a quick chat to Zach's mom about looking at other people's phones, not mentioning the gay thing. And Tyrone said something to his dad about her having a girlfriend. He gave her a funny look, but otherwise everything went smoothly. As usual, Ruby was just left with, oh, I don't know. I don't want to say that. Whose mom was always about 10 minutes late because of her long working hours. Ruby and John had become or had come to be friends over multiple years. They lived in the same suburb and traveled at the bus stop, Totoro style. She wasn't quite as scared anymore. In fact, she was becoming a bit of a low-key little badass. John had come to sit next to her after the class, while Ruby waited to like, hey, check. Oh my god. I'm sorry. In case you haven't realized, is I have a nice theory here that the author is quite British. So, you know, in case you haven't realized with some of the other words, besides for paycheck, Ruby smiled at her. Hey, the 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 small Vietnamese girl smiled. Hi, I was hoping I'd just ask you. Ruby nodded, shuffling across the bench so that Jean had room. Yeah, I have this friend who's actually my friend and not, what? She added hastily, spotting, eh, nodded, shoulders stiffening, not quite meeting Ruby's eyes. Yeah, anyway. I think I like this girl who's moving a lot, but I don't know if I like her. But I like her more than any of the guys at my school. But then again, guys are pretty stupid just generally. But that's okay. That's fine. She said quietly. I just don't want her to go. Ruby nodded, her eyes dark. That enough to Ruby, it would be even longer to a kid. Jean frowned. You really like her, don't you? Ruby grinned sheepishly. Yeah, I do. And even though we can't see each other as much anymore, we still stay close. Jean smiled. Are you sure? Ruby nodded, confident, positive. Everything will be fine. She spent the next 20 minutes wondering whether she actually believed that, or she really believed that. So, another interesting thing was that, or was that she could have said was about Yang and Blake, but I don't think she really knows most of that whole thing, so, you know. Alright, so that's basically that, and of course it talks about the new cover. I'm guessing, oh my god. And then, of course, whatever this is gone. Okay, so apparently it was, oh my god. It was last updated January 15th of this year, which, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think about that. I'm not, it's like slightly wrong, but that'll be it for now. We might come back to this if there's more parts being done, but hopefully it'll be more than just one eventually in the future. So, we're, done with this whole saga with well, we're at least done with the saga for now.